There we go. Okay, so starting off with what problem are you actively working on? Elisa, you pay the price of being the first person to fill in the document, so you have to go first, I'm afraid.
Dang it. So I'm working on branch rules, trying to align on some core issues. We have aligned. I am not sure how happy I am, but it is what it is. Um, Commit list updates, pretty small, and then some banner stuff with the CI/CD team.
Hmm.
Cool.
Um, I'm working on the workspaces list view, which hopefully we can take a look at later. Um, it basically started out as, I think I mentioned it before, but it started out as the issue is to handle displaying errors. But actually, I think the best approach is to just redesign this entire view altogether rather than trying to like, I don't know if you can hear the soaring, by the way, but people work in my garden, so sorry if it's distracting. Um, but yeah, rather than like trying to just like jam things in where they were never meant to belong, just taking a more holistic view at that view altogether. Michael?
Yep. So one of the things that I am looking at is showing additional actions when writing with Duo. So the code review team is integrating this ability to generate text in MR descriptions, and the idea is then to expand it out to other areas where the rich text and plain text editor is. But one of the things that we did was that like we removed one of our features, which is suggest code changes, and it was just like to add that button back. But in kind of doing so, I'm like, this button can go in multiple areas. So I'm just trying to figure out what the right position for that is. And from a feedback standpoint on that, I'm planning to set this up more as a design critique with some of the designers across the different areas that would be uh, interested in this. So AI designers and Nick from Plan and Alex from Knowledge. So yeah, that's something I'm um, exploring. And then the other thing I'm doing is you might have seen that last week we released a small change to how reviews are done at GitLab, which is like we moved the review button to the top right and it's now in the panel. Um, that work is actually like tied to this other piece of work, which is like the review panel. But over the years since I've worked on this thing, yeah, I've been trying to answer what is a review. And the review panel was an attempt to encapsulate that and show, oh, a review is a series of comments and actions, but it's like maybe that's not it. So yeah, trying to articulate that more because more and more we're trying to point to a review. Like GitLab Duo does a review. And when that shows up in the to do, and we're like, okay, let's link to that. Okay, what do we link to? Okay, cool. Alyssa left a reply back on a MR. Great. Is that like what do we link to? Her first comment, her status note. It's just like it's it's like this idea of a review exists in our minds, but in the product, it doesn't exist. Like even Marcelo told me, the review doesn't exist as a database thing. Like it's just a like note in the system, but there's no way to tie that note to comments. And like, cool. So this is gonna be a fun journey, and yeah, so that's me.
Interesting. Taylor, you're up.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in an awkward stage right now. So I am basically we're transitioning classic dual chat to agentic dual chat, which will then go to dual workflow. Multiple teams working on all of that. The engineering teams have been shifted around. So right now I'm just trying to kind of address sort of some of the scenarios that maybe were missed in the North Star and refine them a bit so that they are a bit more neutral. But yeah, this week is pretty much just trying to do that. And then also context menu refactor. I've been working on that kind of part-time for a bit, and I'm trying to wrap that up because it is also related to agentic duo chat. So the context menu is my thing that has been annoying me for a while, and I'm trying to really push it over the finish line here. But yeah, that's what I'm working on right now.
Cool. Gina, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you maybe want to jump in?
Sure. I can link what I'm doing this week, which is meetings. And I have an onboarding issue where I tried to give myself some goals for the first 30 days, which are definitely ambitious because there's a lot of them. Um, and I'm just excited. I want to just kind of like take a seat back and watch what happens in this meeting so I can get an idea of the typical routine, but I am excited to work with you all.
Cool. Us too.
Um, I just wanted to make a note here that um, in the repository view, Alyssa, I'm very happy to see that the edit menu and the code menu got merged into one. Like there's no longer like that web IDs, like this special thing in the edit. And then yeah, workspaces got integrated into that, so that's good
And a big
because
winner.
that it seems so small, but that has been on like so many sus or like CSAT issues and concerns and all that stuff. So I think it'd be a fun activity just to go back and just start closing off all those sus scores. Like, where is the web IDE? It's in the edit menu. Good job on seeing that through, Alyssa, because that's something that like I was part of, Taylor was part of for a bit, Mark when he first joined. So it's like we all kind of like touched it, but everyone's like people were like I was stuck because I was like I don't know how workspaces work, and then like different people came along, and yeah, I'm very happy to see this through. And yeah, I think it even started with when Julia was working on remote environments, and it's just like that list of workspaces. So hooray!
It was done so long ago and it's been stuck behind feature flags until like now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also very excited. Like uh Michael mentioned it, what I also worked on it, and I know how frustrating it probably was to deal with, but I think it's really good to see.
I'm looking at this. I'm wondering if my product manager even knows about this because nobody's mentioned it in the workspaces
I was gonna say how
view.
that this seems like a big one that I just saw now.
Yeah,
So someone stuck
yeah,
it through.
yeah. Seems like quite a big win for workspaces, actually. So speaking of workspaces, we'll move to the feedback portion. Michael, you've got a blank spot here next to your name. Do you need some time, or is that
Oh, no. I already mentioned that I was gonna get feedback on this via the
okay?
design critique channel. So thanks
Okay,
for
cool.
pointing that.
So, seeing as we have two people, let me see. How much time do we have? 35 minutes? Did I do the math right? 35 minutes. Let's split it 10 minutes, 10 minutes, and we say 15 for chatting, or yeah, sounds good to me. So let me show my screen. Figma. I think, let me check. Did I put the right link into the Google Doc? Yeah, I did. Okay, come on, come on, join me for workspaces. So, I'll give you a little. I mean, there's not that much context to set actually, but I'll do my bit of context setting. Um, right now, this is what the workspaces list view looks like. This is viewed by developer persona, basically, or designers, or basically anybody who's interacting with workspaces in a non-admin capacity. And they can have anywhere between 0 And I think realistically, like 8, 9, 10 workspaces. For the outliers, we see some people have like 50, 60, some people 100, but they um are they have very particular usage patterns, let's say. Maybe not necessarily a use case, but a usage pattern. So the problems we're trying to solve is that there's lots of information that's related to a workspace that is not apparent or is not easy to find in the current view. Or in fact, I say easy to find, it's not there at all. And a lot of this information is being requested by customers because it's like the one thing that they care about. Or the bigger pattern when people are making requests is it's how they want to, or it's how they do, or how they want to be able to tell the difference between which workspaces are in the list. So I've been working on this sort of future-looking vision for the view um, to tackle some of those problems. Now it's been through some rounds of feedback already, so it's like getting to the point where it's kind of getting a bit tightened up, but I do have some specific questions. Um, but first of all, is anything jumping out at anybody that they want to feedback on?
Uh, I just have a question. I
Mhm.
think the details view is super nice. It looks a lot nicer than other detailed views that I've seen, like i.e. the ones that we have on like commits and the wells. Is that something we're using on other parts of GitLab or something that you designed?
Yeah, this is not something that I've found in the product already.
Oh, that's why it's so
Something,
nice.
yeah. And also, to be fair, um, it's using Figma grid auto layout, which you know how much our tools like dictate the design trends. So, yeah, it was probably never made before because it was hard to do in Figma.
Um, does the foundations team have any opinion? Because if they don't, I might also use something similar. And then
Yeah,
if we both do it, then maybe
then
it'll
it's
turn into
official.
the product.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's official. So there's no sign off, but I've had Dan working in the file, and he's seen it and he's given his feedback. Yeah, I didn't bring his attention to it, but he commented on things like the icon sizes and so on. So that's not approval per se, but yeah, it didn't raise any red flags for him.
I like
So
how
we're cool
you
then.
gave an access path to the dev file. I know in the past that was been like a
Yeah,
contentious one with some engineers. The only thing that like sticks out for me from a visual standpoint is like the rag patterns on the right side because of the button sizes are varying, and then you have badges, and it's like
yeah,
it's a little bit hard to scan the states. But I love what you did with the state icons on the left side. So it's like that is awesome, like scannability wise, and then the stuff on the right is kind of different.
yeah, yeah. That has been a consistent struggle actually, is what to do with the status messages on the right. Yeah.
Actually, following that, how do the status messages and the badges connect to the status icons?
How do they connect? They
Or do
provide
they?
they provide additional context. There was a point where, yeah, and you know how a design evolves over time, but that there was a point where the status message on the right wasn't necessarily connected to the status of the workspace. So for instance, there was a time when this was green, but over here it was yellow and said it's expiring soon. So maybe it's a holdover from that. No, because maybe we don't need the badges at all, right? If these indicators are enough, we can just put this badge in a hover view.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest because they seem it's just a different way to communicate the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true, man. And then in that, and this would be a popover, wouldn't it? In the popover, then we could put actually some more context, some more information contextually. So like running for 6 hours, failed 3 errors. Okay, I like that. Just to make sure we stay on time, there's a couple of things I wanted to um, point out and get ideas on. So this up here is like a list item view or like a table view. And I found a similar pattern with, I think it's in MRs for like collapsible sections that look like this. And sort of wondered whether I should emulate that style and yeah, I wanted to get your feedback on this.
If you don't emulate it, someone from Paper Cuts, probably Sasha, will come through and just create an MR to stick things into
Let's
the
kind of change it.
like the same thing happened to me with branches, the MR homepage. I used to have like a white background, and then Sasha came in and like put them into this little box system.
Hmm.
Whether it works or not, I think that is up to you. Like you are the DIY here, but like in my scenarios, I was like, yeah, that gives it structure and like I think it gives a different hierarchy of like the detail views from the like the top section part. So I think there is value in kind of separating them. But then, you can have another case of like unboxing. If you have like many of these things, then you might end to like boxes of these things. So maybe it creates more lines. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think can you open multiple of these things at once, or is it one at a
Yes. Yes. Yeah, you can. Yeah. And like the problem putting like wrapping this into this button style, this solving is just the blur that happens when you have so many, especially if you have multiple expanded.
Does the I feel like the blur is also happening just because there's so much details shown in each
Hmm.
section. But is that, I don't know much about the user in this case. Do they need all of those details to be shown at once, or is there like important details that could be shown and other stuff could be hidden on a click or whatever it happens to be?
Yeah. It's a good question because different bits are important for different people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And like I have tried to categorize them. So everything on the right column is like to do with the server status, let's say, or like the system status, and everything on the left is to do with your code or like your development.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe the solution is not to make them more visually separate, but instead to make them less visual dense. Yeah. Is there any more
Your
opinions
10
on? Go,
your
go.
10 minutes is up. Just
Yeah,
FYI.
thank
So
you.
yeah, last 2 minutes or so.
Thank you, Michael. Then I'm gonna ask one more thing then, because this is the problem I really can't solve. Is there's a request to have an expand all and collapse all buttons. So these things is floating around. I don't know where to put them, and I can't find anything like it in the product. I've looked at like Sasha. We mentioned Sasha. Sasha has some issue where they've collected all of the uses of it, but uses of expanding and collapsing, but there's no expand or collapsible. And like naturally, I want to put it up here, top right,
Hmm.
but then it just makes this big space here. I like the best input we've had so far is we'll just find something else to put here.
Yeah, like three workspaces.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that's probably where I would put
For
it too.
Yeah. Okay. But if anybody has any ideas in the shower or whatever, please let me know for that one.
Merge requests we have expand or collapse. So
Yeah?
in the
Where?
top right, go to merge. Yeah, go to any merge requests, I guess.
Yeah,
Uh, let me see if I can.
I got one.
Yeah,
Bundle connection, where?
in changes
Changes. Uh,
and oh yes,
expand all files, collapse all files. Yeah.
yeah,
Interesting.
and there's
Okay.
keyboard shortcuts for that too, and that was
Yeah,
uh,
spoke about
I
that.
think you're sharing your Figma, so I don't think anyone can see
Yeah.
what's going
No,
on.
sorry,
But
I was
yeah,
just looking for myself. Yeah,
yeah.
I found what you're talking about.
Hmm.
Okay. Thank you. Let me hand
Hmm.
up the floor. Thank you all. Useful as always. Who's next? Lisa, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go. I just saw your chat message. I'm ready to have my mind exploded.
Okay. Um, let's see. Okay, so as you guys know, we're trying to work on some key areas for branch rules. And the kind of key categories that we're trying to make decisions on for the architecture are how branch rules inherit from group to subgroup to project level, and also rule conflicts. So if two projects are targeting like a certain branch, which rule takes precedence? And then we also have some other considerations, wildcards, but the inheritance and the rule conflicts are the main thing. Um, we have an issue with rule conflicts because the way that conflicts are currently resolved, for example, if you have, okay, if you have a branch called feature my release, and you have one branch rule that's dash release and one branch rule that's feature dash star, it will both match this branch. And what we do now is we look at all the settings and then we evaluate which one is the most permissive to allow user freedom. Um, and we've gotten a lot of feedback that that's pretty confusing and hard for compliance. Um, and we would like to move in a direction um, where users can specify most restrictive instead of most specific, or anything besides most permissive. And the way that we are thinking about doing this, ignore the layout because this is just kind of like for conversation. It's super messy. I kind of just threw up on a piece of paper. Um, but the way that we're thinking about trying to do this is giving people a setting at the group level to choose the conflict resolution mode. Um, and moving forward with newly created groups and projects, we're going to allow people to have most restrictive by default, but old projects will still use most permissive. So this way we can move forward with the new system while also maintaining backwards compatibility because we're not allowed to do breaking changes. And before Michael's time, they tried to change the way that conflicts evaluate to most restrictive, and that broke a bunch of stuff. Um, so um, The pro of this approach is that it gives people freedom and allows like the new system to coexist with the old system. The con is that basically we might be really complicating our lives by having two different ways of evaluation for users. Oh, bye, Julia. Um, so uh, I did try to kind of like noodle around different ideas and play around with like, oh, maybe we can have like exclusions and magically support the old system while moving towards the new one with different methods. Or maybe we can have people manually rank. And the ideas were a bit complex, or um, there were situations that came up where they wouldn't work. And so this is the simple-ish, maybe, solution that we are moving forward with. Um, and one key thing to note is that we can't have different conflict resolution modes in like the group level and then have the project level change it, because that would be really messy. So my idea is to have the conflict resolution mode be set um, at whatever like level it is, and then all child groups or projects would inherit that and have read only. Um, did I lose you guys yet? No. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I'm lost.
Cool.
But it's not your
Okay.
fault. It's my fault.
No, it's Branch Rule's fault. Um,
Do you know what would be really helpful? I don't want to throw you off your
uh,
swing. Like to
yeah.
see a like an actual use case where this is a problem. Like see the branch name, branch name, branch name. This is restricted, this is permissive, this is what happens. This is why somebody would choose it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good idea. I think I'm gonna do that for next time once we actually like flesh out all of these ideas. We're kind of just aligning on concepts right now, which is why it's so messy, but love that. Um, Next time we'll probably do that. Uh, okay, so that is the first piece, which is conflict resolution mode. Um, Before I go on to the other two pieces, like, do you guys have any questions, feedback? Can I
Um,
re-explain something?
is this rule set at the root group or like at the instance level or like whatever's the user has access to as the most root? So if on .com, it'd be the root group, and for like self-managed, it'd be the instance.
Yeah, it's whatever you have access to. And if you don't have access, then it's read only if someone has changed it at a top or more top level group. Because we want to eventually support subgroups. Okay. Um, and then the other issue is that people want enforcement at the group level. So currently, right now, if you set a like branch rule at the group level, it acts as a default in the project level, and anyone at the project level can change it or override it. This is difficult for enforcement of settings and compliance, especially for large enterprises, because they're just like, oh, I have like maintainer access and I can, I don't know, like change things on the group, but then some developer on the project level is like overriding my settings. What the heck?
Mm.
Um, so we also have a setting that we're introducing for enforceability, which basically allows people to enforce group level um, settings, and then at the project level, they'll be read only. Um, does that make sense? Anyone have
Yeah,
feedback?
and that makes sense. Sounds like a really good solution to the problem.
This is also similar to runners, yay,
Hmm.
where we have a lot of complexity in enforcing which types of runners can be used in a project, which like could be set at the top group level. So we have a setting actually very similar to that, but it uses a toggle which hasn't been touched in years. I'm just going to link what those things would look like if you want to see it. Um, I will say though, it just makes, I've noticed that since that has been implemented, people sometimes come into projects and they're not even aware that there are those settings set, as in like sometimes we hide the fact that this thing is enforced and then people are like, oh, why am I not seeing group runners in this view or something like that. So still giving some type of visibility into that, I've seen is important for users.
Are you guys currently communicating that in any way, like via an icon or read only or anything?
I think right now we're disabling the toggle that we duplicate in project settings. So it's like a disabled toggle that's off, I guess, in that case, because you don't have the project runners, but then they have no visibility into like, what are the lists of runners that are available um, that are turned off? It might be different use case in this one. I'll give you like a test project that you could go into and see it also.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Um,
When's all this gonna be launched?
uh, Good question because um right now the team is working on a new data model, and so we're supporting the old data model while building the new one.
Hmm.
And I don't know when that switchover is going to happen. Um, I also think this decision is very high risk, so I would like
Yeah.
to test it
Yeah.
with users or at least talk to users before we like just like do all this.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah. Especially with no deprecations, right? We can't, there's no takesy backsies once you've launched it.
Especially the settings. It's just
Yeah.
I think we are only in this mess because we've made bad decisions in the past. So I would like to break the cycle, I guess.
Hmm.
Hopefully. Uh,
You know, in 2 years' time, whoever's, assuming you're on a different team, whoever picks this up is going to be like, what the fuck were they thinking? It's
I
going to
hope
be
they
the
don't
same
hate
thing
me.
over and over again.
It's just karma.
It's the circle of technology.
Do you guys know if any other parts of settings might have this issue with um, enforceability? Because I didn't know about
Um,
the runners thing.
we have like areas of the settings where we use like that padlock to say that it's inherited, but that's the only kind of like inherited from the group level. I don't, we have that documented somewhere, so I can find that later for you if you're not aware of that.
Cool.
I guess it's like a
Um,
padlock and a disabled state, right? With some sort of tooltip.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
And then kind of the last piece of the puzzle is having some sort of group level or project level exceptions. So the idea is to give people a way to opt certain projects or branches out of the branch rules, just in case like they have all these rules set up for their specific space, like the group or the project level, or the branch rule, and they want some, for example, like test projects to not follow these restrictions. Um, and we think that that will help mitigate a lot of the concerns that might pop up with some of these other settings, which are adding more restrictions potentially. Um, so my hypothesis right now is that this is the trifecta that might help us move forward with the scalable system, but this is super early. This is kind of just like noodling on basic concepts, and the next step for me is to actually flesh this out into a design, test different use cases, and then run it through like different teams, people who are familiar with settings, and then the users.
This might be a silly question or suggestion because I feel like I don't fully have a handle on this all, but it seems like one of the concerns is when you switch these settings, they can have a broad impact that you maybe don't fully understand. I'm thinking of like a pattern in the ID where you have like a diff view when you say make before you're merging something. I'm wondering if like here's a view of things that will change and I can like get a quick summary to see like these projects will be impacted or maybe these people will lose access or I don't know how that would be presented, but maybe just sort of one last check before you make a major thing and show it in like a before and after view might be useful here.
Yeah, um, for sure. That was one of the ideas that we considered was some sort of way to like check specific like for example, like a branch rule checker. You type in the branch and then you see what rules are impacted by this. Um, the pushback that I got on that was that sometimes people can have like branch rules created and then create branches after the fact. So you would have to like go back to the checker, check it again. Um, and then the other piece of pushback that I got on that was that sometimes we don't evaluate all of the conflict areas upon creation of the branch rule. They get evaluated when a certain event happens in the UI. So, for example, like if I create a branch rule, and they like two of these match a specific branch, like you may not find out that there's a conflict with allowed to push and merge until you actually create like an MR. This is a solvable problem, I think. And I do still want to advocate for this, like checker, especially since GitLab has something really nice. Um,
We're running out of time, by the way, Elisa. Do you want to just wrap
Gosh.
up?
Yeah. Anyway, great suggestion. Working on it.
The other
Yeah,
real quick
well,
feedback or question, I'm sure you've thought of this, but the error message when this rule changes and say I'm trying to push to a branch, does that message let me know you can't access this because of a branch rule change or something so that I'm not left there wondering like I used to be pushing to this and then I spend like 40 minutes debugging my local environment and then I realize, oh, this is something different.
I don't actually know. Michael, do you know if we like alert people?
Hmm?
Like if there is like a branch rule permission issue and someone doesn't have like permission to do something because of the rule, do we notify them or
Um,
do it just not
we
happen?
we tell them in the form of an error message, like, oh, you can't push, or like, you try to commit directly to this bridge, you don't have access. So like big red alerts. But yeah, nothing. Yeah, nothing nice. It's like a slap in the face.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's something I'll investigate. Great feedback.
You were sharing.
Yeah.
As always, you're always keen to share your work, and it's really good. Um, okay, we got some team items, but I mean, there's some people are gonna have a couple of days off. Gina has a day off, same as Elisa has the same day off, I think, 26th. I'm out on the 29th. Longer holiday, I'm off for the first 2 weeks of June, and then the last week in June, I think. It's all in the calendar. Michael's taking some time off in July. Um, but then the reason I just read all those out and because Taylor, what the hell? I don't,
I just found out. So I don't, it's official, but not officially announced by the higher ups. So keep it as semi-secret, I guess. I don't know. Not
Hmm.
that it's that big, but yeah. So I was told this morning that I officially report to Jackie. So I think it's just because I've editor extensions team has been taken over
yeah,
by this. So I was already reporting to her quite a bit. So yeah, it's obviously I still do a lot of work in create space, so I want to keep attending these whenever I can, but don't feel free like you need to consider my time zone because I know I was one of the difficult ones that was making Michael have to stay up super late in my time
No.
zones. Oh, I thought you had a really awkward time zone or overlap. But yeah, so I will still be in the channel and around, but
yeah.
yeah.
Sad to see you go,
Yeah.
Taylor, but you're just on the next desk over, aren't you? You're not leaving.
Yeah.
Um, I wonder if this is tied in with something I learned about yesterday, which is the web IDE is also leaving Create, leaving remote development. Probably the same thing.
Who who's taking that?
Editor extensions, Taylor, I suppose.
I guess that's me.
Yeah.
It's probably what I'll be working on or something that I just haven't found out yet.
Yeah, it's your new job. You're going to build the next cursor in the browser.
Oh no.
Okay. Was there anything that I skipped on? I know I took over the team items. Did I skip anything that anybody wanted to call
Oh,
out?
that just reminded me of one thing. So I posted in the Slack channel Sam joined. So he, I think, is
Hmm.
going to officially be like, I know Michael before mentioned like, oh, how do we keep Duo code review aligned pattern wise with Duo and other places? So I think he's going to be like the go-to point person for those types of questions. But he's still onboarding. This is his second week, so it might be another few weeks before you start seeing him show up.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
So is his role like coordinator of AI?
So to be honest, I can't really answer aside from I think he is the entire crate space. He's going to be kind of doing what I don't know if you were here when Katie was here. But I think he's sort of trying to be the glue that works with Duo for like making sure we're not having multiple different ways of using Duo to do the exact same thing,
Yeah.
and that it kind of fits together. So I think he's going to be eventually handling probably like dual workflow, like the agent stuff in the ID. But again, everything changes every week, so ask
Yeah.
again
Yeah.
next week.
Like the PM of dual workflows leaving. What? Like so many changes. So many changes. Oh.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, that was another big one. I also
Where
know
they
there's an offsite going on this weekend with some of the engineering team, so I'm just waiting for next week. It always happens after those offsites. There's something.
Oh wow.
Well, it is
Okay.
good that we're making changes moving forward, right? New ideas is always good. Oh,
Do you know when this is going to officially be announced, Taylor? The
Uh, I
AI
was
stuff.
I was told today, but
Okay.
I again do that's all I know.
Yeah, I'm also not fully aware. So, okay. Okay.
I'll hold from posting the recording until it's out then. Speaking of, bye-bye recording.